Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, you're in for a belated Halloween trick because Colleen Ballinger had set foot into a high school last October. Yes, you heard me right, she was on the premises to accompany her husband Eric Stocklin, who was honored at a ceremony. He's not quite a big actor in my opinion because I've only heard about him through his marriage to Colleen, and he has yet to land a breakthrough role, not counting his appearance in Haters Back Off on Netflix. But he was a guest star in a lot of iconic shows like Vampire Diaries. The school's Hall of Honor committee had deemed his roles to be prestigious, so they arranged for him to attend an event where he would be inducted into its Hall of Fame. It's no surprise that Eric's proudest moment was said to be starring in a comedy special with Colleen that was filmed live and released on Netflix. Working with her on that performance, as well as Haters Back Off, were the only two shows where Eric portrayed a main character. But other than that, a majority of his film credits were reoccurring background roles. This is not to undermine his achievements since his graduation, because small roles can eventually help someone book a lead role in a blockbuster movie. It worked for Melissa McCarthy when she starred in Bridesmaids. Love that movie. My sister and I still quote the lines to this day. Since the movie came out in 2011, Melissa's name was everywhere and production companies were buying to work with her on their projects. Maybe someday, Eric could land a part that will make his name if Colleen's reputation did not overshadow him. He was still respected by the theater department at his school, and as a student, he was well liked by the faculty. That's great! Having teachers that mentored you in your classes and the school administration hold you in high regards go a long way when putting yourself out into the real world and pursuing higher education. Teachers that adore you would gladly agree to be excellent references when applying for colleges and companies with typically competitive job openings. You'll have a greater chance of landing your dream job if your teachers happen to have connections to key individuals in the industry of your choice. With that being said, Eric proclaiming that being on stage with Colleen at a Miranda Sings comedy special was his proudest moment, according to the summary of his achievements, is disappointing. Knowing what we know now, he should have chosen a role that wouldn't later leave a sour taste in his mouth. Maybe starring in a future project could change his mind and he'll instead say that it is his proudest moment. I doubt it, but I think he could have done better. To clarify on Eric's return to his alumni matter, because I've seen conflicting comments about it on Reddit, Colleen was not invited to the ceremony where he was honored. She came as Eric's +1 and the school allowed it. The internet quickly took notice when a freshman attending the high school posted this photo of Colleen in a black shirt on Reddit, and this led to the student's safety to be fiercely under question. Many users are fearful that Colleen went with Eric to be on the lookout for new victims and are assuming that she is trying to salvage her reputation by fraternizing with her target audience again. The students attended the event recognized her as the lady that foolishly played the ukulele in a vain attempt to refute the grooming allegations against her. Toxic Gossip Train is still fresh in our minds over a year after it blew up. It's catchy, super easy to parody, and it's given her detractors more content to work with. This infamy doesn't exactly matter to Colleen, however. She still wanted to be the center of attention, even if it meant putting on a show in the eye of a hurricane she had started. My immediate thought when I saw this post was, this is madness. I looked up where the high school is located, and I got chills because Woodbridge is not far from where I live. I am terrified that a public figure that got away with taking advantage of her young fans had traveled to Connecticut with her husband, but I am most of all furious that the kids that have posted about the event online had gotten in trouble for sounding the alarm. Isn't it a school's responsibility to keep maps away from the property? If they're willing to allow Colleen Ballinger inside, who knows if background checks they conduct when hiring new staff are just as lax? Okay, so the caption reads, "Nah, who the fuck let Colleen into my school?" I was wondering the same thing when I found that post, especially since her actions were covered by major news outlets and the allegations against Colleen resulted in the cancellation of her previous tour. She has not performed professionally since, and subsequently, her fan base is still declining. In spite of this stain on her reputation, Colleen continues to blog on a near day-to-day basis and yearns to revive her career as a comedian. This may not come to pass in the foreseeable future. Some people might not believe Colleen had set up the group chats with her teenage fans, but her performances were equally disconcerting and full of bizarre innuendos. At around the same time the screenshots were circulating on social media, old footage from her past shows have surfaced where Colleen notably behaved inappropriately with fans she invited on stage. There was a boy that Colleen had eat cereal out of her pants, but one other such incident that took place at another show was when a girl named Becky was called up to the stage when she was 16 to take what was called a yoga challenge. Colleen opened her legs manually as wide as she could to the point where her spandex was showing and a raspberry noise could be heard in the background.
Hi, okay, my name is Becky. I'm the girl in this video, and this video has over 1 million views, and that is a lot of people to be seeing this story without hearing it from me, so I want to explain this. So I was a fan of Colleen and all the Ballinger family for a very, very long time, and I think in this video I was about 16. If you've never been to a Miranda show, Colleen frequently has segments where she calls people up on stage. One of those segments was the porn bit, which I'm not really going to be explaining in this video, but that's why I was kind of trying to dress skimpy so that I would be called up on stage and basically get degraded by Miranda. But I did not get called up for that. I got called up for the yoga challenge. Now, as soon as I stood up from the audience, I saw Colleen's eyes widen because she realized I was not wearing pants. But for some reason, that didn't stop her from continuing. In fact, no adult at any point stepped in this situation. So we get to the point in the yoga challenge where I am laying down and Colleen is spreading my legs basically as far as she can. She spreads them so far that you can see the spandex I was wearing under my romper, which thank God I was wearing. Now, the original video posted by Xandar, I'm sorry if I pronounced her name wrong, is only a screenshot, but there is a whole video of this. But that screenshot is the most important because that is the moment I will never forget, where I was laying under Colleen and she was smirking down at me while thousands of people were laughing, and I was terrified that my body wasn't covered up enough by the spandex or the romper. I basically felt naked, so it felt incredibly sexually violating. I was younger and my body was still developing and I was still becoming comfortable with myself, so for her to use my body as entertainment on stage really set my confidence back quite a lot. And not to mention, after all this, after the show, I had to walk back to my car where there was many men staring at me in a very predatorial way that they were not looking at me before because of how exposed I had been on stage. So I literally did not feel safe leaving the venue. And I'm not saying this was sexual assault, although people are debating that in that comment section, but as someone who has been sexually assaulted, this situation gave me that same feeling where it feels like you need to purge and like clean out your insides, you know, just that nasty, gross feeling. There's a couple comments on Xandar's video being like, oh, she signed up for that, why is this such a big deal, blah blah blah. Colleen exploited my minor body for entertainment and money and did not protect my safety at this show. As an outsider looking into this situation, it may seem like this wasn't a big deal, but this was really pretty scary for my teenage self, and especially as someone who loved and looked up to Colleen. And I could never say anything because everybody loved her. But this is who she really is. She uses kids for her own gain. I was a minor, and again, she did not protect me. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about taking your kids to a Miranda show, I would advise you to think twice because you may come back with years of trauma, and I don't wish that on anyone.
Becky felt violated from being in such a humiliating position, and the fact that children and adult attendees alike were thinking this was hysterical to watch made her feel helpless. After the show, she had gotten pervy looks from grown men that saw her up on stage. As a result, she felt unsafe leaving the venue by herself. In Toxic Gossip Train, Colleen downplays the consequences of having her participate by referring to the act as a fart joke.
So I just wanted to say that the only thing I've ever groomed is my 2 Persian cats. I'm not a groomer, I'm just a loser who didn't understand I shouldn't respond to fans, and I'm not a predator even though a lot of you think so, because 5 years ago I made a fart joke.
Her fans further discredited Becky with textbook comments of victim blaming like, if you didn't wear this outfit you wouldn't be called on stage, or you knew it was going to happen, you asked for it. For the most part, they ignore the power dynamic that was present at that part of the show. The dynamic was that Colleen is a woman well into her 30s while Becky's brain was not yet fully developed, and Colleen exploited her admiration of her. Becky's safety was supposed to be the venue's top priority, but nobody intervened or told Colleen to stop at any point Becky was on the floor.
Okay, hi, I'm back, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping to just share that story about Colleen and then log off this account and basically never come back here. But I've been seeing a lot of comments blaming me for what happened, and I just want to address victim blaming comments in general. In my situation, a lot of people are talking about my age. I was 16 at this time, which is still a minor. Your brain isn't even fully developed until 24. But a lot of people are like, well, I mean, you weren't 5. Like, you knew what you signed up for. Or people being like, you wore that outfit on purpose. You wanted to be called on stage. Like, this is your fault type thing. I tried to address that in my last video about like Miranda shows and how clothes play a role and how you get called up on stage and stuff. So I don't want to go over that again. I just want to talk about how horrible these comments are in general and how hurtful they are. A lot of people don't realize the power dynamics that were at play in this situation. But regardless, a lot of the negative comments that I've received are why victims of any traumatic situation don't come forward a lot of times. Especially the ones about clothing are really pissing me off. Like, saying that a woman deserves something that happened to her because of what she was wearing is such an archaic and gross way of thinking, and I can't believe people in 2023 are commenting that on the internet. I just can't help but think about how the reactions in my comment section would be different if she was a man and had done what she had done, because what she did was wrong. I'm sorry. I just had an interview with a pretty big news platform, and I actually wasn't going to be doing any interviews. I told myself that I would post that video and then never speak about it again, but because of the amount of people blaming me for it, I felt like I needed to come out and talk more about it. But I do feel like if this magazine reached out to me in the first place, then yes, what happened is wrong. But again, I don't necessarily want to keep making this all about me. I just want to say, even if you think that this wasn't necessarily a bad situation, you're entitled to your own thoughts, but you are not entitled to telling people what they experienced was a traumatic experience or not. Like, people are allowed to express their trauma. You should never attack people for coming forward with their stories in any situation, and these comments are just so disheartening because I know a lot of these people are applying that way of thinking to maybe situations in their real lives and probably hurting people in the process. So I just want to say, if you are someone who is reading the comments and maybe also is starting to feel a little bad about yourself and your experience, just know that these people are spewing absolute nonsense. Like, if you've experienced a traumatic situation, just know that this is not a normal reaction. Yeah, so basically, let's just all try to be a little kinder to each other and treat each other with more respect, because it goes a long way.
Good grief, I can't believe we still have to remind people not to invalidate a victim's traumatic experience when they decide to share their stories. It amazes me that they still do, in spite of losing friendships as well as mountains of hate they expect to get from people that find some excuse to place them at fault and normalize abusive, controlling behavior from the perpetrator. Coming forward should be encouraged, even if it seems like they'll never get their just desserts, because it is part of the healing process. Becky typed the caption, "It's 2023. We don't judge other people's trauma," in her follow-up video where she discusses how disgusting the comments she's gotten were, and that's justifiably why they've been disabled. I don't think that perception of Colleen's victims has changed since it was uploaded, and definitely not when she was permitted to be around kids in her previous victims' age group. It's like hers and Adam McIntyre's efforts to inform the public of the allegations were in vain. Regardless, they're stepping stones toward eventually holding the perpetrator accountable. It took 12 years for Bill Cosby to be charged with SA that he perpetrated on Andrea Cosstand in 2004, and now that Nevada lifted the statute of limitations of civil claims by victims of sexual violence, 10 more women went ahead and filed a lawsuit against Bill. Besides SA, they accused him of assault, battery, emotional distress, and false imprisonment. So there is hope for victims if they feel there's nothing they can do to fight back. That ongoing situation is not to insinuate that Colleen's interactions with her teenage fans online and on stage can be classified as CSA, but Colleen hasn't proven she isn't guilty of anything she's been accused of either. Looking back at the screenshot I took, someone in the comments of one of Adam's videos speculated that the group chat where he and the other teenage fans were asked uncomfortable questions was set up by a peer impersonating Colleen. That claim would have been believable if Colleen didn't admit in Toxic Gossip Train that many years ago she used to message her fans, when the fact of the matter is it wasn't many years ago. It was more recently than that, since according to Adam, she left one group chat at the devil's hour 5 days before that video's release. Now do you see why the situation would have worked out slightly better for Colleen if she kept her mouth shut?
Here we go. Many years ago, I used to message my fans, but not in a creepy way like a lot of you are trying to suggest. It was more of a loser kind of way.
It also wasn't many years ago. You were doing it when I posted my 2020 video. We have the screenshots as well, but I thought this video was about facts.
I was just trying to be besties with everybody.
Besties with children. Don't really know if that's helping your case.
Spoiler alert, it did not, and the video has been dubbed the worst apology by any YouTuber of all time, as if none of us knew that before. Adam McIntyre still gets hate for being one of the more well-known victims to come forward, but it doesn't bother him as much as it did a few years ago. Now he sees his former idol's fans as a joke and occasionally makes fun of their worship of her. It's inspiring to see him no longer care about what they say about him.
Let's listen to this. That Corey sent into this group chat.
Hey everyone, it's Corey. I just wanted to record a voice memo because I have a lot to say. But first of all, I just want to say that I love all of you. You honestly mean so much to me.
Oh my god.
You have no idea. I know that it sounds weird because I'm a full-grown adult and some of you are younger.
I know it may sound weird to say that I love you all so much because I'm a grown adult and so many of you are so much younger, is the sentence he just said.
Oh my god. Blah, blah, blah. But, I honestly think of all of you, as my best friends. I don't have friends.
Oh,
and
God.
I'm a loner and I'm a loser. My only friend is Colleen. And, it's so comforting to, go online and talk to you guys and feel, loved and cared about, because I love and care about all of you. And I trust you, and, with all my friends, I vent to you, and when I'm angry, and I feel better, and I feel comfort.
He went in a group chat of what he said was a lot younger than him and is saying this. And all of this has started to unravel since I posted that video. And it is so validating and unfortunate at the same time. It's unfortunate that other people experience what I experienced, and it's validating that now people know that I wasn't lying because I wasn't just the only one.
As a result of his indifference and the renewed courage he gained from finally feeling understood, Colleen's fans lost their power over him. The evidence that backs up Adam's claims against her is too rock solid for them to try and disprove, but it hasn't stopped people like this user from having her back. Adam had typed this caption in a screenshot: "Obsessed with Colleen fans talking shit about me on their story and being so confident until I confront them." This should be good. The confronted user asked this ignorant question: "How could you be so incredibly hateful to someone you don't even know?" No. It's been well established that he and Colleen knew each other. Otherwise, if that were true, she wouldn't invite him to use her Miranda Sings handle on Twitter in the first place, nor attempt to build a long-term connection with him, as perverted and manipulative as that was, but I digress. Adam replied, "Don't talk about me then, loser." He subsequently replied, "And you know me? You realize I've seen your stories on me." The confronted user replied, "Wow, your parents must be so proud of your behavior." I assure you, his parents are proud of him very much. "Calling me a loser when you don't even know me?" Adam replied, "Look in the mirror, you dumb fucking prick." He's got a point. The confronted user replied, "Disgusting! You're one to talk, look how awful you're being." The DMs have gotten to a point where this user had sent these horrific, boorish messages in a vain attempt to get a rise out of Adam. Could you be any more vile? Reported. XOXO. Love you. You're the loser, my love. Wow! Cyberbullying and verbally abusing someone that has autism. How disgusting! Sending all of these to your mom, by the way, since she's on Instagram. If I were his mother and I got these screenshots, I would be like, what the fuck ever, and block this user. Adam replied, me right now to you, and then he sent this funny emoji indicating that he doesn't give a damn, and I absolutely love that. I'm on the spectrum, and as rude as Adam's reply seemed, his reaction was very well justified because latching onto a parasocial relationship with a celebrity to the point where you feel the need to besmirch people they've screwed over to make you feel better about yourself does kind of make you a loser, let's not mince words. I'm aware that this makes me sound insulting myself. However, a study conducted in Hungary 2 years ago argued that this level of attachment to a celebrity is linked to low intelligence. Speak of the devil, another user that holds a grudge against Adam, GlitterKitty182, posted a photo of him picking up a ticket to Trisha Paytas' sold-out Christmas-themed show in New York City, and she claimed that he was begging for one. Adam took notice of this post and debunked it by clarifying that Trisha invited him as a guest. GlitterKitty was then banned from the influencer's unofficial subreddit, and a moderator issued a statement and a comment on a follow-up post that basically said, whether or not you like Adam, you don't go looking for him in real life to make fun of or discredit him. Adam also alleged that someone said, Team Colleen, and giggled as they walked past him. Besides having that photo taken of him without his permission, that is straight up harassment. In the same comment, the moderator left a note confirming that GlitterKitty had allegedly admitted to planning to bother him at the event. She deleted her account shortly after her ban. The incident was annoying to both Adam's and Trisha's communities, but I'm delighted that the former had lovely fan interactions during his trip to NYC, and he enjoyed himself at Trisha's show. Anyway, the results from the aforementioned study came from abysmal scores on cognitive tests taken by individuals with similar obsessions with pop culture. That's not to imply that someone that looks up to Olivia Rodrigo is out of touch with reality. Some of my friends that admire their favorite singers are inspired by them to excel in their fields and work harder to improve their self-esteem. But the stand that consistently badmouthed Adam McIntyre and then acted defensive when he actually DM'd them was acting privileged and entitled. I haven't seen the stories they posted on Instagram back then, but based on that very first reply in that screenshot and how it mirrored a conversation Adam had with an angry fan hours after screenshots of the group chat were first leaked, I suspect a great deal of their sustenance is rooted to Colleen Ballinger. It's mentally unhealthy for any fan to go to that length to defend her, and in such a situation where even authority figures are making allowances for her, I will be blunt about the not-so-stellar reactions from the high school student body. One user advised the student that posted about the event on Reddit to reach out to the Board of Education or send a tip to the news when the latter replied that they were reprimanded for asking about the allegations in class. I mean, it is worth a try to file a complaint in that district, but if the backlash over the school's decision hasn't negatively impacted its reputation in the long run, I doubt it would do much good, and that's saying something about where its priorities lie. This drove this student to take a step further by uploading a video to YouTube where they go into detail on how Eric's induction ceremony went. Sadly, they've set their video to private over a couple of months after they posted it. It is unfortunate because it gave viewers more insight into how badly the situation was handled by the drama teacher that organized the event, and this student shared what their experience was like when they were present. I blurred out their username as well as the username of another individual on Reddit to protect their privacy. Since Adam McIntyre and most of Colleen's victims had targets placed on their backs for speaking out against her, the possibility that her fans have attempted to contact the student fills me with dread. The video starts off with this introduction. On Friday, October 18, 2024, actor Eric Stocklin and more importantly his wife, Colleen Ballinger, came to my school. as Eric was being inducted into the school's Alumni Hall of Fame. Stockland and Colleen, after the induction ceremony, proceeded to do a Q&A with all theater and broadcasting students. If you need proof of this happening beyond pictures that will be shown shortly, Colleen herself talks about this trip on her channel, Colleen Vlogs.
I am still in Connecticut. This morning, Eric and I went to his high school and it was lovely. I'll talk about that later. Visiting Eric's high school and getting to talk to all the theater students was honestly so wonderful. Like, I know I keep saying in this whole vlog, like, oh, I'll talk about it later, and I haven't talked about it, and I don't think I have time even right now to talk about it because I could talk about it forever. I'm so proud of him, and I'm so excited for him that he got honored and that his high school wanted him to come and talk to the students, and I'm so flattered that he wanted me to join him and be there next to him as his partner and answer questions with him. I got to talk to all the high school students, and I haven't done anything like that in a very long time, and I was there to support Eric, but there were so many wonderful students who wanted to ask me questions and him questions, and so I got to be a part of it, and he wanted me to be a part of it and was just so excited for me to be a part of it with him. And I used to do Q&As at my VIP meet and greets when I was on tour, and I miss it so much. I miss it so much, and I didn't know if I'd ever get to do anything like that ever again, so the fact that he wanted me to come be there with him and experience that with him, it reminded me so much of those meet and greets I used to do when I was on tour. And everyone was so sweet. Everyone had the most encouraging, kind things to say, and I don't know, like I said, I could talk about this forever, but I'm not going to talk about it forever right now. Maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow or something, but it was a really nice reminder that there are really sweet people out there who watch my vlogs, and obviously I know that that is true because I read your comments, but my favorite part of my job has always been touring because I get to meet you guys in person, and I love to perform. It's my favorite thing in the world, and then to also meet you guys and talk to you and answer your questions, and I get to ask you questions. We get to know each other more than just through comments on my videos. It was always my favorite part of my job. So to have that little reminder of how it felt to have those moments with people who watch my videos and see people face to face and talk to them and take pictures with them and get to know them and encourage them and them encourage me, it was just so wonderful, and I'm so grateful to Eric that he wanted me to be a part of that with him.
About Colleen, I assume most of you know who she is and what she has done, but if you don't, Colleen Ballinger, aka Miranda Sings, is a content creator from Southern California. Colleen is infamous for having been the subject of numerous scandals involving allegations of sexual misconduct. While she hasn't been charged, and they are allegations, one will find a mountain of evidence showing that Colleen has done these abhorrent things. So why did they let her into a school? When my theater teacher, who organized the lecture, was yelling at me for asking how did the school respond to the allegations, he said something along the lines of, she's been on Broadway and I'd be a fool to not let her come. Which is a fair argument as long as you pretend performing in a dying show to sell seats makes you qualified to talk about Broadway, but the school has so far said and has done nothing in regards to the allegations. I also do not believe for 1 second that a higher-up in the school never knew about this. My school board does eat crayons, but they can't be that stupid. I'm surprised that they supposedly knew about the allegations, but they still let Colleen come. So with all due respect, that teacher had exercised poor judgment. I am fully aware that there are plenty of successful Broadway stars that could have been invited as speakers in lieu of Colleen on another day. She is not one of them because the allegations supposedly costed her a role on Broadway. She seethed about it in a blog she uploaded at the beginning of the year when she said, "I lost that opportunity right after a story came out about me that was completely made up," without realizing that it makes her apology in her fall vlog seem like lip service and might incriminate her further.
Let's answer some Tortilla Talk questions today, shall we? Steph said, excited for Relax to come back. Me too. Wondering if you'll ever feel comfortable talking about the audition you had before your break. Love you, Colleen. I love you too. And this had a lot of likes, and the reason I chose this comment is because other than the relax comments, the other top comment that I get is about my audition. The last vlog that I posted before I took that long break last year was me saying, oh, I'm about to go do this big audition. I've been talking about it for like, I think weeks or months maybe even at that point. And I finally went and I did the audition, and that was where we left off. I actually have a vlog, I think, of the next day of after the audition, so let me know if you guys want to see that or parts of it. But do I think I do. Anyway, I'm a little bit sensitive about this, which is why I haven't talked about it, even though you guys have asked about it a lot, but I'll touch on it really briefly because so many people have asked about this. The audition went really well. and I was really excited about it. It was an audition for a Broadway show, and I got it, and we, had dates set, and I was really excited to go do Broadway again, and then it didn't happen. And it didn't work out, and I was really sad about that, and I'm not gonna get super into it, but obviously a lot happened last year, a lot was said last year. I lost that opportunity right after a story came out about me that was just completely made up, and it is what it is, and we're moving forward. I already got to do a Broadway show, and I'm so grateful for that.
That should have been a deal breaker if this drama teacher's only excuse was, "She's a Broadway star, so I'd be a fool not to invite her." I know he could have booked a more successful actor that can give his theater students a pep talk and can provide excellent career advice. He could have browsed a broader list of stars that have been on Broadway to find a replacement speaker and contact them through a booking agency. If that's not an option, either due to distance or if the booking fee is outside the school's budget, Cameo has a catalog of stars that anyone can book for a personalized video at an affordable price. Maybe that's a suggestion that should have crossed that teacher's tiny noggin. Additionally, my theater teacher said that the allegations levied against her were quote-unquote grossly misinformed and mere quote-unquote cancel culture. Excuse me? There's a clear difference between a troll making someone's life miserable for their amusement because they're quirky, standoffish, they hate their guts, or all of the above, and holding someone accountable for abusive and potentially illegal behavior. Referring to the allegations against Colleen as cancel culture is irresponsible and insulting to her victims. I'm shocked this teacher stooped to that level of stupidity because the teachers that I had in high school would have given that question more weight and reconsider inviting Colleen. As I said, he could find another Broadway actor if he was desperate to invite one with their performance in a play on their credentials. I don't believe that any rational person would say this about such serious allegations with mountains of evidence. I'm starting to think that either my school didn't care or their only source was Colleen. I'm starting to think that too. How could anyone read this and side with Colleen? Exactly. This was not mentioned in the student's video, likely because of the disturbing implications, but the accusation that Colleen had posted Nazi-for-work photos of Trisha Paytas from her OF in her group chat should have been another deal-breaker if mailing Adam McIntyre her bra and panties wasn't for some strange reason. I know that Trisha isn't well-liked herself because she's been embroiled in a few controversies lately, but in that situation, she was still a victim. The fact that someone went to Trisha's show in New York and said Team Colleen when we realized the latter's decision to share her OF photos with teenagers could be a criminal offense makes this person all the more cruel and malicious. The alleged act that drove Trisha to cut off ties with Colleen was not reported to law enforcement, but that could someday change. What was the Q&A like? I came late, so I only heard part of it, fortunately, but it was meh. Stocklin, who we were here for, was okay. He gave good answers to any questions asked, but I didn't hear much from him. Colleen, however, took up most of the time. Oh boy. She was talking for the majority of her husband's event, and the students were largely more interested in asking her questions. She never mentioned any of the allegations. However, she did say she would burn every ukulele she could find when asked what she would do differently if she started her career over.
Oh, that's subtle.
I knew she'd be bitter about playing Toxic Gossip Train over a year later, despite the fact it's still up on her vlog channel and now has 19 million views. How come she hasn't taken it down if she's resentful about it and doesn't want people to quote-unquote lie about her anymore? It comes across as calculating when we take into account that it's her channel's most popular video. All students, including me, were nice to her, because I was told I would be severely reprimanded if I said anything about the allegations, and I assume all other students were too. It is common courtesy when interacting with a celebrity at a meet and greet or Q&A to abstain from asking about scandals they have been or are currently involved in. These events are intended to be enjoyable experiences, and discussion of these scandals would ruin it for yourself and or the other attendees waiting in line. They can put the celebrity guest in an uncomfortable position and you won't be allowed back in the event. Nonetheless, since the scandal Colleen was in involves child abuse and allegedly distributing nude images of another influencer to teenage fans in a group chat, there's an excellent chance a student at the event would ask about it anyway. The one attendee that asked Colleen what she would do if she were to start her career over again had found a loophole. After the Q&A was over, all students rushed to gather pictures and autographs. Surprisingly, no sexual misconduct occurred to my knowledge. I'm not reassured, but we know nothing bad happened as of right now. As I mentioned, this happened on the 18th of October. Why am I making a video about this now? On the day of the event, I made a post on the high school subreddit providing pictures of Colleen at my school that are on the left and center of the screenshot. On the right is an image, not by me, of her that surfaced. Then they gave credit to this other Reddit user for providing it. Anyway, this post went viral, helping amass nearly 4,000 upvotes. It now has 4,300 upvotes at the time of this recording. Eventually, this spread around the internet, and apparently some news organizations / YouTubers heard about this because my school got emails linking to my post. They figured out who I was from my comment history, they emailed my parents, and now I'm going to be reprimanded in some way tomorrow. I don't know how, but I assume that being quote-unquote chewed out would be an understatement. Oh my god, that's heartbreaking. In conclusion, I will end this video by asking Amity Regional School District and Amity Regional High School to answer for gross ignorance to the allegations that have been levied on Colleen Ballinger, especially when these allegations regard the safety of children. Your incompetence has put a dark stain on a usually quiet part of Connecticut. The idea that this student would be disciplined over posting about their concerns for their peers' safety is appalling in of itself. I don't know what punishment they ended up getting, but whatever it was, it's not going to make this outcry disappear like magic. I'm not even sure what that's going to accomplish or teach them. At this point, from how most of us see it, it's setting a precedent that if you speak out about something that makes you uncomfortable, you will be subjected to retaliation. It's going to make kids in that district hate going to school and most definitely defy authority. I'm again reminded of a scene in Hogwarts Legacy where Rookwood taunted our characters who were 5th year students at the time that children should be seen and not heard, before fighting him as a boss. Adam McIntyre took notice of Colleen's appearance at the high school and made a couple of videos about it before following up with an Instagram story besmirching the school for its poor lapse of judgment. He is visibly upset that this student had gotten sanctioned for speaking out, and I completely sympathize with him. No one that has alleged to have taken advantage of children should be allowed anywhere near them. Various state laws forbid registered sex offenders from being within a certain distance from a school, and yes, I'm aware that criminal charges have not been pressed on Colleen, but it's just what schools have to do to protect their students and faculty. It's better for them to be safe than sorry. It's true that Adam tagged the high school's Instagram handle in his story, but no teacher was explicitly named. The student that uploaded the video discussing the event didn't name the drama teacher either, because obviously putting students in harm's way when it's in his job description to protect them from shooters and predators alike is going to get outsiders riled up. Complain to Connecticut's Department of Education while it still exists, or contact the news if you must, but don't go fishing through the staff directory in the hopes of finding the teacher you assume invited Colleen to harass him. I don't support anyone doing that, and there are more productive steps to take, like the ones I just listed, which, as I said, was tip off a journalist or file a complaint to the state's Department of Education. It can also be as simple as showing gratitude for the kids that came forward. They deserve credit for mustering the courage to risk punishment and speak out about Colleen's appearance at their school. The only step the high school can take to save itself if pressure from the public had increased is issue a statement to the district apologizing for the mistake and assuring them this drama teacher will be spoken to about it. I checked its Facebook and Instagram pages to find out if they've addressed it. As you can expect, no such statement could be found. The administration may have went ahead and punished the student that posted about Colleen's appearance quietly, since their social media pages have disappeared and their video is gone. I'm terrified that this might have been the outcome. However, based on how several other YouTubers have talked about this situation at the high school, I hope the student knows that their peers and most spaces having this discussion are on their side. It sounds extreme in hindsight that Colleen Ballinger is treated as irredeemable and she doesn't deserve forgiveness for her alleged misconduct, but think for a minute. In the world that we live in today, where exploitation, abductions, and trafficking have become increasingly common, when a grown adult comes into contact with a child online or in person, we just can't predict what happens next. That's not an argument in favor of their parents hovering over them when they access the internet. Sheltering them in a box, which is what the right wing wants to do, is not going to prepare them for the real world, and they won't learn to recognize danger when it occurs. The backlash involving Colleen's visit to that high school means that if its students are warning the authority figures whose jobs are supposed to protect and guide them that a celebrity that crossed lines with their fans repeatedly shouldn't be present at a school event, that means their parents have raised them correctly. Anyway, you can let me know what you make of this high school's poor decision in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Go.